Hey, you're watching Dujuan Live, the live show that's pre-recorded. Stay tuned, we got a great episode for you today. Hey, I'm Dujuan Thomas. I'm your host, and I want to welcome you to Dujuan Live. Today I have a very special guest, someone that I know pretty well, and I could give her a whole rundown bio, but I'll let her introduce herself, and that's my wife, Christina Thomas. So, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, so you've been behind the scenes for almost every episode I filmed here in the studio. So first off, I guess you can introduce yourself to the audience that may not know you by far or yet, even though they've seen you on the news so much lately and everything else. So who are you? Where are you from? Tell them about yourself.
Well, I am Christina Thomas, formerly Christina Mangrum. I'm originally born and raised in Mayfield, but now I'm a resident here in Paducah. I'm a wife, a soon-to-be mother, and a nonprofit owner, as well as an advocate.
Definitely. And man, it's kind of different having you on my show because you're always behind the scenes. So how's it feel being actually on the show now?
It's definitely nerve-wracking. I'm not a camera person at all.
Yeah, definitely, but getting with me, that was going to be kind of in the
it was in the arrangement. Yeah. Signed up for it.
You've been doing a great job. Christina, for those you may not know, she created a nonprofit here in the city, One Heart Foundation, where I'm proudly the vice president. We have a great woman boss here at One Heart Foundation, and I want you to share about the nonprofit, of course, why you got it started, your passion behind it. So first off, just tell about that. What is One Heart Foundation and why did you start it?
Okay, so One Heart Foundation is a nonprofit where we serve the unseen, which includes foster youth primarily as of right now, and also single mothers and shelter animals, and we also spread the love of the gospel. And basically we uplift the underdog.
Definitely. And so, of course, I know, and you've shared it in other podcasts like Voice Thoughts podcast, you've shared it in some news interviews, but what experiences in your life opened you up to wanting to serve, foster youth and those that are, that go through unfortunate situations like that?
So basically lived experience. At the age of 16 to 21, I experienced foster care, the ins and outs, most of it, and seeing the way that the foster youths were treated and the way the foster care system operates. I wanted to spread awareness, for one, of what it really is like in the foster care system, because not everyone knows what it's actually like in there. They think, oh, you're just going to get adopted and you're going to go to a nice, loving home, which it's not that simple. And it's not always that cut and dry. It's not that two-dimensional. So spreading the awareness is one of my big goals with this nonprofit.
Definitely. And then, from your background going through the foster care system, how did that kind of shape your passion for it? Because, a lot of people could start a nonprofit because they feel like, maybe not a hobby, but they feel like they just want to do something. But what really grew your passion for it, for wanting to serve those foster youth?
I would say living it. Like when you're in it and you see how people can be, I guess for a better word, lack of a better word, mistreated, you want to stand up for them. Like I know, I guess you could say that we're in the same boat, but I still wanted to be that person. I wanted to be the one to stand up and be like, this is not right, and this is what I think we need to fix, and this is how I think we should go about this. And I want everyone else to know what is actually happening so that we can all stand up and make a difference.
Yeah. And then speaking on, some of those things, what are some things people maybe misunderstand about children that have to go through the foster care system?
I think a lot of people think it's mostly about adoption. The people I've talked to about it think, oh, you're just going in and you're getting adopted, and they think that's the same thing when it's not. I wasn't a part of the adoption side of things, but it's a different kind of world being in the foster care system and being in the adoption system. And then also they think a lot of it's just like you get put in a home and boom, that's it. Like that, your story is set, you're sailing, and you're good vibes from there. When it's not always like that. Everyone in the foster care system has a very unique story and unique trials and tribulations and things that they go through.
Definitely. And one of those, we recently had that drive with the McCracken County Library where we were able to collect luggage for foster youth, because a lot of people don't realize that when you transition from home to home, you're oftentimes just given a trash bag. So could you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so my experience and a lot of other youth experience from the people I've met and the youth conferences and things that I've done through work You're usually put into the system, and your clothes and everything that you have your whole life is put into a trash bag. And I bet you can imagine how that make you feel, like your entire life you're dragging around in a trash bag, and you're not even really given the decency of anything that you can call personal to carry around with you. So that's why we wanted to have the drive to get people their luggage, give youths luggage, so it can feel personal and not like you're just, just a thing, just going around, moving from home to home.
Definitely. And what do you feel is like the biggest reason why, or I don't know how to word it, but like, why do you think it's been okay for so long just for kids to have trash bags? Like, what do you think is missing in the system that needs to be fixed, for lack of a better term?
Convenience. And then also, I guess, cost. A lot of people don't want to spend the money on it. They don't want to go out and take the kids to go and get a luggage because that comes out of pocket.
Yeah.
And the state can reimburse, but it's like they have very particular protocols on how reimbursement works when it comes to the youth. So, and when you're initially going into it, the kid doesn't have anything. So the only thing they're going to be able to go to is through the closet where the trash bags are out and put all their stuff there. That's really all it is. It's convenient, and they're like, well, the kid doesn't seem to be complaining, so I'm not. What do I have to do about it?
Definitely. And one thing too, I would like to touch on is and you talked about it a lot, is these kids that get sent to these homes. They get sent with a rap sheet, for lack of better terms, and oftentimes it misrepresents who they are. Like, they're more so just words on paper versus a real living person. And oftentimes a lot of them are victims, but they're treated as if they're the problem. So could you touch on that a little bit?
So one of the things I come to discover in the system is, one, you're put in a rating system. It was formerly 1 to 5, which is like basically your level of difficulty. Now it's 1 to 3. And the foster parents are paid according to this rating. And the higher the difficulty, the more money they get per month. And that money is supposed to go towards the youth, but some foster parents don't. Like, it's basically their paycheck. And so a lot of the times, foster youth, we discuss amongst ourselves, and we're like, we feel like a statistic. Because that's basically what we are. We're something that's researched, and then also something that's put into a data of like, okay, this is the basics of this youth, which isn't always accurate. They will put down stuff that they didn't ask you about. Like, they didn't ask you, like, do you do this? Do you do that? They don't ask you any personal questions. They just say, okay, so she lied about where she was this day, so she's a liar, and then she also did this thing because of something. And they don't go into the backstory of it. Like, if you were running from a dangerous situation, you're marked as a runaway. It doesn't matter what the backstory of it was, the reason. That's what you are now. You're labeled that, and that's what is given to the foster parents, which also is why home placements is really difficult, because nobody wants a runaway. They don't want a difficult child. But that's not exactly all that it is. It's just how they reported you. And so that's why it's hard to find housing for these youths, because they're written as things that aren't necessarily accurate.
Yeah. And, we're going to, before we move back on to the nonprofit side, and also a lot of people don't know about, and even some youth that go through the system may not know about independent living. So that's the transitional phase after you've, aged up from 18 and up. So could you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so basically when you become an adult legally, you are able to recommit, is what it's called, into independent living. And you can be in this service for about 20 until you're 21. And there's also other services you can apply for past that age if you're still needing assistance. But basically you're either able to stay in a foster home continually, or you're able to go to an apartment that is given to you by the state. And then that organization, basically they have these meetings with you, they give you the resources you need, and they try and help you to get ready to go into the world by yourself.
Yeah. And just, from hearing your experience and seeing some of it firsthand, would you say it was easier once you got to the independent living side, or do you think, you're provided more in the independent living side versus, going through it in your late teen years?
I would say it was definitely easier, but there are 2 reasons behind that. One, you're an adult. Like, they can't hold anything from you at that point. And 2, all of it's going directly to you. You don't have a middleman. Like, you don't have the foster parent to go through. You don't have the social worker to go through. It's all between you and whoever you're corresponding with. So as a youth, they don't have any obligation to really tell you anything. Right. They're supposed to. You are given rules and laws for being a foster youth, like the things that they're supposed to do for you. But who are you as a child to go and tell someone like that this adult isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Who would you believe, the adult or the child? Yeah. Oh, because all these kids will put up these fantasies, and it was like, oh, they're just talking, they don't know what they're talking about. So I think it's easier being an independent living because you have more of a voice, and like they have to listen to you.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate that there is so many people that take on the responsibility of being a foster parent, but, really aren't up for the position, in all honesty. But, moving on from that and moving on to the nonprofit side. So from what you've shared, I know that is what has really sparked that interest in wanting to move past, like being a volunteer. And of course, your job, you work with foster youth, the work you do as well. But when it comes to the nonprofit side, where did you come up with like One Heart Foundation, and what was like the origins of it? Because, I wasn't really involved in the beginning. Like, you were in there working hard, like late nights creating this nonprofit, and I let you do it because I wanted you to, do your thing. So.
Yeah, explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when I was sitting thinking about it, as you know, my job, Voices of the Commonwealth, I was like, there's some things that I want to do specifically. And, like they have their own rules and regulations on how they operate. So I'm just like, okay, someone's gonna have to do it. So I'm gonna do it. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna start this nonprofit. And the logo was actually inspired from when I was about 10 years old. And I had drawn up this little logo of like a butterfly, which, represents rebirth, and a phoenix, which also represents new beginnings, rebirth, etc. So I was like, okay, so I have my logo. I know this is gonna be my logo. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I went and got in contact with the Community Foundation, as per suggested by you. So the Community Foundation helped me to get the paperwork I needed. They gave me templates. They made sure that I, free of charge, they made sure that I did everything the way it's supposed to, and I sent it to the people that I'm supposed to, and I did it exactly how it's supposed to come in, and I would double check with them whenever I would get the stuff from the state, and I'd be like, okay, is this the right document? Do I need another document? And then they would help me afterwards. Once I had my 501c3, they would help me get my taxes together and made sure that I had that appropriated, and then they would give me a file for also putting down any of the financial part of things, and they just basically were there the entire way, like making sure that I got everything together on document, on paper. So that was really how it all started. Was I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to do this. Like,
definitely. And then what has been one of the hardest parts of starting a nonprofit on your own?
I would say the public speaking,
Yeah.
because I have to go with you to these events and tell these people what I do, what I'm doing, what I'm wanting to do, how I want them to help, and asking for donations, asking for their time, asking for their ear. And I'm a very, I guess you could say, an awkward person. So I'm not very good at just coming up to someone and be like, hey, you want to hear about what I got going on? So I'd say that was the hardest part, is the public speaking.
Definitely. And I'm glad you touched on the Community Foundation of Western Kentucky, because I was going to highlight them as well, because they've helped several nonprofits in our area get their start, like PDAB and so many others. And I'm grateful for what they do in our community, and I always lead people to them because they're a nonprofit that helps nonprofits, and they were really able to help our nonprofit, get the boots on the ground. And, they do a lot of different things for several nonprofits. And for us, it was more of that guidance and like, hey, you need to file this. This is the website. So for any nonprofits that are out there, make sure you check out the Community Foundation of Western Kentucky, because they are here to help you, and they'll do a great job of helping you. And then moving on from there, what advice could you give to someone who has a heart to serve but doesn't know how to start, or, where to begin?
I've actually had some people come up to me about like starting a nonprofit and how that all works. I would say do your research to start. What exactly do you want to do? Be specific, write it down, make sure that you have it all the ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. And then look for the resources in your community. If you don't know how to do it yourself and you want to make sure that you're doing it right, like with us, it was Community Foundation. So I would say if that's what you want to do nonprofit-wise, if it's just basic volunteers stuff, just go about your community and ask where help is needed and go from there. Definitely.
And then, when you look at, being a woman leader, because you're the president, founder, and CEO of this nonprofit, what does leadership mean to you, and being a woman leader in this position?
Well, for one, it feels empowering, being able to branch off from your shadow to being my own thing. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a helping hand since I was little, whether it was in all kinds of different things that I had passions for. But having this leadership role it's also, I wouldn't say dainty. What's the word? It's like I'm nervous. I'm nervous to mess up.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited for where we can grow to. So I would say it's really powerful.
Definitely. And has there been anybody particular, or, broadly that you've looked up to or that has helped inspire you as you go about this journey?
In this journey, you.
Oh, well, thank you.
In life, probably my dad, my pop. I've always looked up to him because he's always been headstrong and leading our family of 8 all by himself. So, but when it comes to things like this, I've kind of always looked to you like, hey, is this okay? Am I supposed to do this? Is this right? Do you think this will be good? And I know that you founded yourself all by yourself, and so I'm like, I kind of look to you for that guidance.
Well, and I didn't ask that question to get that answer, so I wasn't expecting that, so I appreciate that. It means a lot. And then I guess I could move to this. So how do you balance, and it's kind of different because this is my wife, so I'm asking you questions like you're a guest, but I know you, but how do you balance being a wife, future mother, and founder?
Being a wife being your wife, okay, I don't know about anybody else, but being your wife has helped me doing this because, I follow you around to these events and you help me bridge that gap to meet these folks and to go out of my comfort zone, because I'm going to tell y'all, when I first got with this man, I didn't know I was signing up for this. Yeah. I did not know that I was going to have to come over here talking to folks and socializing. That just wasn't me, still ain't me, but I'm still trying to do it. So it's actually been a positive thing for me being your wife and being a nonprofit owner. As for being a future mother, as of right now, we're fine. I mean, I'm just carrying it, so I don't have to really worry about it. I mean, there are times I'm feeling a little bit more sluggish because of it, but as of right now, we're fine. Now, when the baby comes, we will see how that develops.
Yeah, I got you. And then, I could speak on it, with your background and what you went through, and then also with me, I think that really helps bring us closer together, knowing what some kids do go through. Like, we want to be that family unit that is secure. We want to have that stable foundation for us, of course, bedded in Christ. So I really think that has helped, shape this relationship and, moving forward. So yeah, I hope that's an inspiration for some people to see that. And then kind of going back to One Heart Foundation, where do you think you see One Heart Foundation in the next 5 years?
I was hoping you would ask that because he knows I'm very ambitious. And when I first came to him about this nonprofit, I was like, we're going to go global. Yeah. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's going to be great.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, he's like, okay, hold on. Let's go this one step at a time now. But in 5 years specifically, I'm hoping that we have like PDEB, and then we have a name recognition here in Paducah, and we have a foundation in the agencies, the PCPs as they're called in the foster care system, and with DCBS, where we have a partnership foundation and are able to work together to make a difference here in our community, at least. I'm hoping to at least expand into some of the nearby cities by that time.
For sure. And over the past year, because One Heart started only a year ago, we've actually been able to do a lot of good stuff. And that goes back to kind of what you were speaking on, networking. It's important to make those connections because that opens up so many doors. So like with your partnership with 4-H and being able to use the UK Extension Office, that's been a major blessing because last year, and you could speak on the program that we had there, which was the paint, where we threw the balloons, and I can't remember the name of it exactly, but could you share a little bit about that?
Basically, we were doing stuff for foster youth. So we had the kids that were mostly homeschooled come together during one of their programs during fall break. I think it was, that's what it was, yeah. And we were making these bags of love for foster youth. So basically they were making they were throwing water balloons filled with dye at the shirts so that we could have these nice little tie-dye shirts and also have something fun for them to do because of course kids love to throw and break stuff. And then they also made bracelets. We also collected all these different things to put in the bag, like recipes, all these things that would be good for independent living youths. So that was what we did with 4-H. We've also had some other, like the drive. I want to touch on the UK Extension Office and what they've done for us because we've been able to utilize them and work with them very well because of the fact that we haven't had to, really go and finance a venue.
Yeah.
And that's been a blessing to us that we've been able to do all these things and still haven't had to spend a dime. Thank the Lord. But yeah, that's also another thing I want to shout out the UK Extension Office for being so helpful to us.
Sure. And then also like the 8th of August, you had a booth set up out there, or we had a booth set up out there. And that was a lot of fun just being out in the community, because I think a major goal for us is the awareness part, because a lot of people, don't understand the foster care system. That's why I wanted to touch on that first, because really, it's not highlighted enough, and these kids don't have a voice like we talked about. So it's really an honor, and you're an inspiration yourself for wanting to stand up and be that voice, because there's a lot of people who may go through the system and just put it behind them. It may be that trauma behind them that they want to put behind them, but you're bringing it to the forefront, sharing your story. And my hope is, especially with this episode, is that it reaches somebody that's inspired by it, or maybe wants to use their voice to speak up. So in saying that, what are some ways that someone watching right now who feels led to help or maybe use their voice, what are some ways that they can step up and help?
Well, first of all, you can go on our social medias, OH Foundation NP. We have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So you can get on our social media, see what we got going on, try and volunteer, and then also donate. We do need donations. I'm not good at asking people for money, but I'm going to do it while I don't see anyone's faces and I don't feel guilty for asking for money for whatever reason. So I'm going to say that we do need donations to be able to do more things, because we do want to bring activities apart from the awareness. We're starting with awareness because, one, it is budget friendly and it is important. So we want to go from awareness to also giving activities to these youth, because they may not be able to go out and do these things like every other kid can. And then I also want to mention that we do have an event coming up, March 3rd, 4 to 6 at the UK Extension Office. We will be having a paint, snack, and speak, where everyone is invited to come and talk to these youths and ask them their questions. We will ask them questions first so that you guys can see what we're working with, and then they can come and ask their questions of what they may want to know about the foster care system.
Definitely, because it's not like a one-size-fits-all with each youth. Each one, y'all have a different
Yeah,
experience.
every story is very different.
Yeah, and some may have a better than another, and then some may have a worse than another.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
It's very important to highlight those voices. So thank you for formulating that, because you really have been the workhorse behind everything. And as we wrap up, we're getting close to the end. We also have volunteer opportunities, so people can also go to our social medias and click the links and sign up to be a volunteer. That'll definitely help out for future events. But with that, is there anything else that you would like to share with anybody that's watching this that may want to know more about One Heart or about yourself?
I don't know about One Heart, since we talked basically all about it and about me, but I would say if you ever want to do anything like this and you're feeling drawn and you're feeling led, then you should let yourself be guided, because this is important work, and you may be the only one, but then you might be the one, if you know what I mean. So I think it's very important that if you feel led, you should follow it.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you for being on my show, coming from behind the scenes to the forefront now. And for anybody out there that's watching, please make sure you look into One Heart Foundation. If you can, donate, if you can volunteer, or if you can just share the message and share our mission, that really does help and make a difference. So with that, I want to thank you for watching the show, and I'll see you in the next one.